Janna, welcome back to the Sipping Point.
Hi, Laurie. It's good to be here. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, we always seem to meet this time of year because Maryland Crafted is coming up on June 13th from 12 to 5 p.m. in downtown Centreville. And I know, you're running the Maryland Wineries Association, and that is really the engine behind this great event. So
Mhm.
maybe first you could tell us a little bit about what you do with Maryland Wineries Association, and then let's get into the details of this great event.
Sure. Yeah. So the Maryland Wineries Association is the nonprofit trade association that supports our state wineries. And we do advocacy on behalf of our members, a lot of education. We market and promote them, provide startup support. So really kind of a one-stop shop for growing and supporting the Maryland wine community. And yeah, we have a really great partner in the town of Centreville for this event. This is a several-year partnership. And the idea is to basically bring Maryland crafted products, primarily beer, wine, and spirits. But the great thing about this event is that, our partner Centreville identifies like a lot of local artisans and vendors. So it really is kind of truly all about all kinds of forms of Maryland craft. And it's in downtown Centreville. So it's got this like lovely Main Street feel to it. And anybody can attend, but if you would like to sample, then you would need to purchase a tasting pass, which is really easy to do. It's at our marylandcrafted.com website. And a tasting pass to be able to walk around and sample products from breweries, wineries, and distilleries is $25. Again, if you don't feel like sampling, you can just kind of wander around and, hear some great music and see everything that's going on. But there really are a nice variety of wine, beer, and spirits producer, which what makes it really fun is because there's something for everybody, in that offering. And yeah, it's a really great feeling event, very community focused, and you can also purchase tickets the day of. So if you're kind of Friday night, you're figuring out what you want to do for the weekend, and Saturday morning you wake up and you're like, yeah, I really want to go. You can purchase the morning of, and we are happy to have you walk up and buy a ticket. And we also, for the second year this year, we have a fantastic VIP experience.
Yes.
And that's a little bit more involved. It starts before the event itself, and it's at Bull and Goat, and it is in partnership with Crow Vineyard and Winery on the shore in Kennedyville. And they do a lovely job. Their wines are great, and they've got this great food and wine pairing that will be happening as part of the VIP experience. And then that
Yeah.
VIP ticket gets you a tasting pass. And then there's also a cool special hangout area for VIPs at the event also. So yeah, we're really trying to kind of create multiple experiences for whatever people feel like doing that day.
And I think the VIP ticket is such a great value because not only are you getting that tasting pass, and really you can taste as many things as you want during the period of the festival. You can pick and choose whatever your favorites are. And you also purchase from these wonderful wineries and breweries and distilleries as well. And then that you'll hold on to it and they can grab it at the end of the festival. But the VIP sit down experience, not only will Michael Zollo and Judy Crow from the vineyards be there, and I'm actually going to invite them in a little bit here to talk more about what they're doing. That sit down tasting, the pairings are coming from Firefly Cheeses, Bayshore Steam Pot, and also Doc's Riverside. So there's some
Nice.
really great food. You get a nice little base in your stomach. And I know the Bull and Goat Brewery guys are going to be sharing something that they've crafted as well and giving
Ooh.
a little tour of the brewery. And so you get that to just kind of kick things off. And then, like you said, a separate tent where you can
Mhm.
relax and have some more snacks from Doc's Riverside in between your tastings. And they always have the best bands and
Mhm.
knock on wood, the best weather for this event. The last couple of years, it's just been phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we should say the event is rain or shine, but we know everybody's going to come on out and be brave, even if there's a little bit of a sprinkle, and like we said, it'll turn gorgeous. I swear. It seems like it always is really good weather for this event.
It is.
So.
Any of your wine, brewery, and distillery partners, you want to give us a little shout out about some of the people who we might expect to be there?
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh my gosh. It's a really great lineup of people. So we've got several spirits producers. I'll just do a quick run through of our lineup because it's so
Okay.
awesome. We've got Baltimore Spirits Company, Chesapeake Manor Vineyard, Covalent Spirits, Crow Vineyard and Winery, of course, Fordham Lee Distillery, Grey Wolf, Layton's Chance Winery, Lion Rum, McClintock Distilling. We've got Mully's Brewery, Oliver Brewing, Pathfinder Farm Distillery, a new Rose Garden Wines. They're new to the association. Rosy Cheeks Distillery, Schmidt Spirits, St. Michael's Winery, 10th Ward Distilling, and Tipsy Teacher Wine. So truly something for everybody. And as you mentioned, Laurie, all of those producers have product that you can purchase to, take home with you. And we are happy to check it at our wine check tent. So, really, if you like something, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of shop till you drop.
It is. And I love that because a lot of times you go to these festivals, you find something you really like, but then you can't purchase it there. And then you got to go about trying to find it. So that is a great service for everyone. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you kind of painted the picture for us of Maryland Crafted on June 13th from 12 to 5 or 11 to 5 if you get that coveted VIP ticket, which I know those are limited.
They are.
Where should folks go to get the tickets and what's the best way to do it?
So they can go to marylandcrafted.com and that takes you right to the ticketing page. It's got more details and information about the event itself. And again, if you want to come day of and just walk up and purchase tickets, we are more than happy to do that. Like you did mention, though, the VIP tickets could sell out. So it's probably just a good idea to pre-purchase those and not risk, day of. I think for food purposes, we'll probably, we'll have to kind of close the tickets out a few days before the event. So definitely, if you're interested in that, go ahead and purchase those. And the general tasting passes, purchase ahead of time or feel free to walk up and buy the tickets.
That's awesome. Well, Janna, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to bring in Judy and Michael from Crow Vineyards and hear a little bit more about that sit-down tasting at the VIP. But thanks as always for coming on The Sipping Point.
Well, thanks. Thanks for everything you do to promote local products. So we appreciate it.
Judy and Michael, welcome to The Sipping Point.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
We're like twins.
Well, I just talked to Janna of the Maryland Wine Association, and we talked about some of the event highlights. And of course, one of them is the VIP wine tasting with you guys at the Bull and Goat Brewery at 11 a.m. that morning of the event. And so, Judy, if folks don't know about Crow Farm Vineyards and everything you have there, the wine, the cattle, just the whole setting, tell us about how you came to start the winery and what can people expect if they do come and visit you?
How we got started in the winery business is Roy and I got married, and the farm had been in his family for 3 generations, 365 acres, corn and soybeans. And then once we got married, we decided we're going to diversify and we planted some grapes. And then, that led to Brandon, our son, joined us. And once you have youth in your back pocket, you're like, oh, we can do anything. So we decided we were going to start making wine. And we renovated a 5,000 square foot facility, an old Morton building. And now we're making wine. We took the 1847 farmhouse and we made a bed and breakfast out of that. And the tenant house we turned into a cottage and we rent that. So people can come and stay with us and hang out and buy wine. Oh, and we have grass-fed Angus beef. Roy had a herd of about 10. Now we have about 100. We're very intentional with raising the beef. And we're just like a place that people can come, get away, enjoy wine, enjoy good beef, and have a good time while they're here.
Yep. It's a beautiful,
Love that. And you
tranquil
guys are
place. Yep.
Yeah, you guys are in Kennedyville, Maryland, which is Kent County and near Chestertown, if folks don't know exactly where Kennedyville is. And exactly, Michael, what you were saying, it's just a very peaceful and fun place to visit if you need an outing or a day of wine, which I always seem to need.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you guys are participating in Maryland Crafted. Tell us a little bit about, Michael, about what are you going to be doing at the 11 a.m. VIP tasting?
Yeah. So this VIP tasting, we're going to taste 3 wines. We're going to pair them against some artisan food. Firefly Farms is doing a beautiful Merry Goat Round Brie that we're going to do here. And that's going to be paired with the 2024 Pinot Gris. We're also doing a rosé. The 2024 rosé, this is a blended rosé that we do of 3 of our red grapes on the farm, Merlot, Malbec, and Cab Franc. That's being paired with Bayshore Steam Pot crab balls, which I'm really excited. I love their crab cakes. So I'm I'm excited to have it in both form. And then the 2024 Barbera Reserve, which we're pairing with Doc's Riverside Grill beef sliders. So we picked 3 stellar wines to go with 3 food offerings. And we'll talk about how those wines are made, how we pair wines, how to taste wine like a pro, and walk you through all of that for that VIP ticket. So.
And you guys are going to be the duo leading that tasting. Judy, you're going to be there as well, correct?
That's the plan. I'm going to be there.
Yep. And there should be a bonus tasting with Bull and Goat too. So.
Yeah. Secret.
Oh, that's right. People are going to get a tour of the Bull and Goat Brewery, and I know the guys are going to make sure that they taste something that they've crafted. So I have no worries there. Well, now that you're talking about tasting, I'm getting thirsty, and you guys sent me a couple of samples of the 2 of the wines that will be part of this tasting, and I won't be able to be there. So this is going to be my tasting right now. So you sent me the Pinot Gris. Tell me, Michael, a little bit about this Pinot Gris and how you make it. You know, if people don't know, Pinot Grigio is the same grape as Pinot Gris, but this expresses a little differently than maybe one from Italy. So tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, so we're making this in the French style. This is one of the first grapes to come out of our 12-acre vineyard. We've got 8 different varietals here, and this is kind of the canary in the coal mine situation where once these grapes are ready, you know harvest has started. Everything at our farm is hand-picked. So we pick to lug so that the fruit is treated very gently. We're not picking to large half-ton bins. Everything is picked to a 25-pound lug so the fruit never gets compressed. Pinot Gris, the Gris, right, if people don't know, is because the skins are actually slightly reddish in hue and slightly gray. So Gris is the French word for gray. So what we're trying to do with this is treat it very softly, preserve the fruits, but we do a lot of lees integration here. So we're trying to make this wine very structured and have a lot of weight in the mid palate. One of the ways that we do that is we run a yeast blend on this. So we're running 2 non-Saccharomyces yeast, and those are actually creating aromatic precursors for the main Saccharomyces, which finishes the fermentation to feed upon. So.
Yeah, this has some really good like pear and apricot I was getting on the nose, but definitely it's got a vibrancy and aromatic to it. It's not just, a lot of times with Pinot Grigio, it's very citrus and
it
that's
can be very lean.
it.
So our goal is to make this wine have some dimension.
Yep, I'm going to take a sip. And Judy, I have always loved the Pinot Gris over the years. Is this one of the wines that people would taste at your tasting room? And do you have any favorite pairings? Because I know you love food as well, and you're a great cook. Are there any favorite things you like to put? I know at this event it'll be the merry-go-round goat, but what would you put with this otherwise?
We actually stick with the cheeses too. And we serve in our tasting room Eve's Cheese, which is a local farm that makes cheese around here. And they have something interesting that they make is a Barbera cheddar made with our Barbera wine. And we've even paired the Pinot Gris with that, and does very well. We also,
Love it.
on our cheese and charcuterie board, we feature our summer sausage and our sweet sausage, and sometimes we smoke sausage and put that on the cheese trays, and that's very nice. Yeah.
And I could see this with all kinds of seafood. And of course, if folks have a little left over, I know you put the rosé with those crab balls, but I think this could be really great with those crab balls as well. It's versatile, all stainless steel I saw, so that it does really, just let that fruit come forward. There's a little bit of minerality there that I really love too.
This block is planted over some gravel as well, so it tends to pick a little of that up. And we're always trying to showcase it. We do a lot of lees lifting in the tank during the fermentation, so we'll stir the lees up in the tank to get that up into solution to help fatten this wine up.
So if anybody's listening and they're like, lees, what are we talking about here, Michael? Give them the idea of what are the lees and what do you mean stirring? Because you actually are stirring them.
Right. So lees are the yeast cells that are dying during the fermentation and settling to the bottom of the tank. And so one of the things you can do is mix the tank to lift that up into solution so that the other yeast can feed upon it, and there's some autolysis that's taking place there, and it can give you a perceived sweetness in the wine, and it can also fatten the wine up. And You can mix in tank. You could also mix in barrel. We do a lot of lees mixing with our Chardonnay as well, where when it's in the oak barrel aging, we actually take a device and lift the lees up very gently to stir it into solution. So it's an awesome technique.
Nice. I understand this is your 10th vintage making wine at Crow Farm Vineyards.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank
Happy
you.
anniversary,
Oh,
guys.
thanks.
But tell us a little bit about how did you become a winemaker and how did you connect with the Crows?
So my grandfather was a home winemaker. I'm from an Italian family in the Finger Lakes. And so we were always making wine in the basement. And so that's how I got bitten by the bug. And the year he passed, we didn't have a family vintage to do Meatball Sunday at the lake. So my brother and I kind of took over the family production in the basement. Jonathan, my brother, went on to wine school in Cornell. I had already graduated at that time. So through a family connection with Cornell, actually, my cousin works alumni affairs at Cornell. She was visiting alumni in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she saw an article in the newspaper about a Cornell PhD who just won Best Syrah in California. So she gave him a call. She went up and visited that guy. And he was like, there's another Cornell grad right down the street who has a vineyard. You should visit him. She visited that gentleman and he needed help. And so that's how it happened. I quit my job in insurance and I drove across the country in 4 days. And I cut my teeth with both those gentlemen out in California for 4 years. And it was awesome. My last position was up on the Humboldt coast, making wine out there as well. So that gentleman at Fieldbrook Winery came down with cancer and he wasn't sure what was going to happen to his business. So, he said you should start looking. And so I was looking East Coast because my family was still all back here and I wanted to get back with family. And Judy, Roy, and Brandon had put up an advertisement on winejobs.com. And I sent them my resume and I got a text message 10 minutes later that said, we want to talk. And so that's how it happened. They flew me out here. They gave me a tour of the facility. I saw how serious they were about making amazing wine. They've made a really large investment in the winery. It's state of the art, all high grade 316 stainless and beautiful French press. And we have our own bottling line here. So it's from grape to bottle in this facility and we control everything. And Brandon is an amazing grower. And so I knew they were serious about making great wine and I wanted to sign on immediately.
Great. Well, we're glad you're here on the East Coast. I know for 10 years now. All right, Judy, I know we're going to do at the tasting, you'll have the rosé, but when you get to red, you're going to be featuring your Barbera, which you guys have been a proponent and growing Barbera, it seems like since the beginning, a grape that's typically associated with Piedmont, Italy, but seems to do so well on your estate property, which by the way, both of these wines are from your estate vineyards, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. Everything we have is from our vineyard. Yes. Yeah.
How did you get the idea, Judy, to start growing Barbera?
Well, the Maryland Wineries Association and the Maryland Grape Growers Association provided us with so much technical support. And it was Joe Fiola who said, I think Barbera would do very well in your site. And Roy and I did a little research on that. And in that research, we found out that in Italy, Barbera is known as the farmer's wine. So for us, we're like, okay, we're farmers. We're going to have to drink it every night because, that's what farmers do. And we're just going to plant it and see how it goes. And it's been spectacular for us. We make a rosé with the Barbera.
Sparkling rosé and the method champenoise. Yep.
So it's been a real backbone of our portfolio.
Yeah, it's a very versatile grape. It has thin skin, so it's a very approachable red for new red drinkers. It also retains its acidity late into the ripening, which is great for Maryland weather, so that we have a wine that's very food friendly and has a lot of natural acidity in it. So, makes awesome rosé because of that, and a really great food friendly red because of it as well.
Yeah, it's so intense with red fruit on the nose and then a little bit of like a toastiness or a toast note. And I did see that you do age this in oak barrels for a year, which I know is a huge investment for a winery.
Yeah.
How are you doing your oak treatment? Are they more neutral? How much are you looking for the oak to impart on the Barbera itself?
So it depends on the vintage. We have a lot of neutral barrels in the cellar, a lot of different toast levels so that we can really select. On an awesome year like 2024 that's more structured, obviously this wine can hold up to more new French oak. So we were using some neutral barrels here. We also were using some barrel inserts that go inside your barrel as a stave chain to give you still the porosity of a French oak barrel because you're aging in French oak, but it gives you a more new French oak flavor profile. And you can select the toast levels on those so you can really hone in on the right toast for that particular wine.
It's really wonderful. And I feel like this is a style that would appeal to a lot of different kinds of wine drinkers because it does have all that purity of fruit, but it's so balanced and with the acidity that it's real food friendly and not a heavy red, if you will, if folks aren't into that. If someone, Michael, has never tasted a Barbera before, what would you equate it to maybe that they may have tasted, or is it part Pinot and part Zinfandel, or what are we
Yeah, I
talking here?
mean,
What would
those
you
would be
say?
the two grapes that would come to mind for me as that, a non super structured Pinot, like a softer drinking Pinot Noir or a soft drinking, very fruit forward Zinfandel. This grape is amazing because it can show a ton of fruit, and part of that natural acidity preservation helps elevate that fruit in the profile.
Mhm.
But yeah, soft tannins, like this is on the tannin spectrum, this is quite low in red wine, which makes it really easy drinking. With
Mhm.
this particular vintage we picked to two different tanks and hand sorted. All of our reds are hand sorted as they come down the line. We did a lot of whole berry fermentation here, which means we didn't crush the fruit. We just destemmed it and sorted it so that we could leave it on the skins a long time and really maximize the flavor extraction and profile out of it. And we did two different fermentations, right? One was targeting a very fruit expressive fermentation, and one which we called Barbera fruit. And then the other tank was we were trying to make more robust and bolder, and we called that Barbera Robust. And we pressed these separately, down to barrel separately, tracked them separately. And then when we were doing our barrel selection process for this reserve, we specifically chose certain barrels. They wound up being a 50-50 blend of each.
Fruity and robust. You covered all the bases there. And I know at the VIP tasting for Maryland Crafted, you're going to be doing Doc's beef sliders with this. But Judy, if you were making dinner for Roy and maybe Brandon, I don't know if he comes over for dinner all the time, what would be one of your favorite things to make that you would put with this Barbera?
Well, last night we grilled, and he had skirt steak that he had grilled and tri-tip, and that was wonderful. And Doc's is going to use our beef when they make the sliders, so we're excited about that opportunity to have anytime we have beef, we like to hit that Barbera, yeah. But I just want to say, like, did you
Yeah,
see all
no.
the excitement that came from Michael when he talks about the winemaking process? We're just so lucky to have all of that energy, enthusiasm, and articulation into the winemaking process. So
Yeah.
thank you, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Judy. I think we're really fortunate here that we're a boutique winery, right? We're not trying to replicate a wine every year. We can try new things, experiments, do all sorts of nifty yeast experiments and oak experiments and fermentation experiments, and always trying to better ourselves. And that's one of the great things about working in boutique wine production.
I agree. And I did get to come out I think it was fall, and
Yeah.
we taped a live Fizz Gap there on the property. Michaela and I had a really good time. And Michael, you gave us a great tour of the winery. And I agree, Judy, he is so passionate. And I love that you know so much. And, education comes natural for you. So I know everyone is going to be in for a real treat if they get their VIP tickets, which to me, it's a no brainer $65. That gets you into the main Maryland Crafted tasting, but also that awesome sit down event at Bull and Goat, which I know from last year was just so much fun. And I know it's going to be again. If Judy, folks want to check out more about the winery or come visit you even before Maryland Crafted, what is the best place for them to go?
Best place to go is our website, crowvineyardwinery.com. We're open every day,
Great.
12 to 5. We were very busy over the holiday. It seems like people like to come inside during the rain. We can seat 65 inside, 65 on our patio. We always have fresh food for lunch, and I do most of the cooking here. You're right about that. And that's the best part of my job is being able to create using product that we grow here at the farm or other local products in order to feature something on our tasting room menu. But I hope everybody will come out and see us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, one more question, and I'll pose this to Michael, but Judy, if you think about it and if you have an answer, I'd love to hear yours as well. But I'd like to ask my guests, is there any wine myth, sort of a thought that a lot of wine consumers have that is just not true, Michael, that you would like to help me dispel wine myth wise?
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I don't know. Do you have any that come to mind?
Yeah, I would say one of them, and that I'm always beating the drum of, is that people think that when you drink European wines, there's no sulfites in those wines. But then in America, we put tons of sulfites in our wines,
Yeah, I
and
was
that's
going to
why
say
they
this,
get
but I didn't want to
headaches.
stir stuff up.
You know me, I'm fine stirring stuff up.
Yeah.
Because are people getting headaches from the sulfites, Michael?
No, as a product, wine actually has quite low sulfites. We're capped at a certain level compared to other products like dried fruit, for instance, dried apricots or something like that, where they may have up to 800 parts per million of sulfite. Wine is capped at 300, and here at the farm, we generally never have over 120 parts per million. So sulfites occur naturally in fermentation. So there's already a level of sulfite that is occurring naturally in fermentation. And then it's added by winemakers to one, halt oxidation, right? To keep a wine from tasting old and tired, and also for microbial control as well, to keep the dreaded acetobacter from forming, the bacteria that causes vinegar.
We don't want that.
Yep. So, and depending on your pH levels, not a lot is required. Actually, white wine has more sulfite than red wine because it doesn't have the natural
Yes.
antioxidant tannin that a red wine does. So, yeah, I mean, that's the myth that,
That is the myth.
and oh, it causes headaches or something. They're thinking that that is actually a histamine reaction from pollen on the grape skins coming
Or
through the door,
drinking too much
or
wine.
drinking too much wine.
Let's be
Right.
honest. And what was the price point of the Pinot Gris and the Barbera? Because I think another myth that's out there is that you have to spend a lot of money to get a really great bottle of wine. And I find these both delicious, but I'm thinking they're both probably under $30. Okay, both under
Under
30,
30.
maybe.
30, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Pinot Gris is under 25, if I remember. But yeah, they're delicious and they're very value packed. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I know anyone that's joining you for the Maryland Crafted VIP tasting is going to have an amazing time. I'm just sorry I can't be there with you, but I just wanted to thank you for coming on the Sipping Point and just say cheers.
Here's to you. Thanks.
Thank you for doing this.